And joining us now from the Pakistani capital is journalist Javed Rana, who will be briefing us on the latest developments regarding the massive floods that are continuing to pose new problems. Good morning, Javed. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Now, a very serious situation being faced by Pakistanis. Over 33 million have been impacted by the floods, and climate change is clearly one of the biggest factors. But apart from that, do you believe current and previous governments should be held responsible for ineffective or a lack of planning over the years?
Certainly, the mismanagement, man-made factor is at the heart of the problem. The reason every year flood occurs in Pakistan and then it sweeps away everything that comes on its way, thousands of people every year, hundreds of thousands of people every year, they are killed, hundreds of thousands of houses are collapsed. This is a kind of annual phenomena, annual humanitarian crisis. And at the heart of all this, I repeat, is the mismanagement of the successive governments. They have not been able to build mega dams. Pakistan has got hardly few mega dams, and this water, which every year it end up in Arabian Sea, why this could not have been stored. So I think this there is political factors. The political parties have not been able to develop consensus as to where they should build up the big dams. There are venues which have already been determined, technically feasible, but many political parties, nationalist political parties, they've been opposing them for the fear that if those dams are built and their edges are burst in the event of a flood, the people would be swept away. They would sink in it, and the other province like Sindh, they would object that they would not have water to irrigate their agricultural land. These are very flimsy justifications which I think now are responsible for the mess that Pakistan is facing now. It's a tragic situation that we are going through, and Pakistan's political parties, the successive governments, are certainly responsible for this mess.
And how effective have rescue operations been to date, Javed? Are people easily being able to be carried out to safety and drier locations? What's that situation like?
Well, the Pakistan military claims that it has managed to complete the rescue operation, at least in the southern province of Sindh. But again, I don't think that is the case. It may be true for the part of country's territory, but again, the northern western province, in the southwestern province, people still need a rescue to be rescued. There are the areas which the authorities, rescue operators don't know so far, and they are doing at their level best. But again, given the mega scale, the sheer scale of the flood, it is not that easy for the authorities to contain the crisis. But again, the bigger challenges which are going to be there in coming days and weeks, and that would be how to rehabilitate people, because there are 33 million people. How to rehabilitate them? Tens of billions of US dollars Pakistan needs. Their economy is already in a bad shape. The government is borrowing money from the other countries to pay back its previous loan. So I think it's a huge challenge for the government. But the only silver lining that I can tell you is the people of Pakistan. They are reaching to the affected areas. They are helping people. They are going there with the tents, with the food, with the clothes. All the people need. The biggest source of help is the common people of Pakistan who stand activated. The social organizations are there. The religious organization, particularly, let me point this out, most prominent and most effective in this crisis are the Pakistan's Islamic organizations. They are very much there on the ground. They are helping them, and I think that is the bigger source of satisfaction, that at least that help is reaching there. But again, other authorities are also working. Given the sheer scale of this crisis, certainly Pakistan needs foreign help.
Okay, all right. Now, on that, we have seen the Pakistani Foreign Minister and the Army Chief urging the international community to send essential aid. Now, tell us how the international community has responded and what are they currently providing?
Well, Turkey, Arab countries like UAE, Qatar, they are all sending help. They are sending the food packets, tents, all that could possibly be needed for the flood-affected people. But this is just tip of the iceberg of what Pakistani people needs. Because at the end of the day, this flood would be over maybe within a matter of weeks. But how to rehabilitate them is going to be a bigger question. How far the government would be able to help them out? They need foreign aid and they need to generate their own resources. That is where is a big question mark, and that is where the big challenge is, and how far government be able to plead with the brotherly countries, with the international community to seek that help, because these people need to be rehabilitated. At least 300,000 houses have collapsed. These are just initial figures. My understanding is that the damage cost to the mud dwellings is a huge, that is still unaccounted for, and so far authorities are still determining the real scale of the damages, real scale of this humanitarian crisis. Let's see how things unfold in coming days and weeks, but still it's a tragedy which continue to unfold.
Okay. Now, I know you briefly touched on this, but just to round up, let's take a last look at it. The government's currently battling a political and economic crisis as well. So things were bad enough, and now they've gone to worse with the floods and the devastation there. So how is Shahbaz Sharif's government planning to tackle these issues? Are there any concrete plans in place, or what is he announcing to the public?
Well, Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif's government is restricted to the 30-kilometer federal capital. It is surrounded by Punjab province, which is the biggest in terms of population. Opposition party of Imran Khan is governing there. And then another province is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is hit hard, like rest of the country, is again governed by the government of the opposition leader Imran Khan. So their rate is limited. Much of the role of the federal government is to provide financial help. But frankly, the federal government is at daggers drawn with the opposition parties. They are still battling, they're squabbling with each other on petty political issues, the power politics that is at play. So I really I can regret the political situation that exists in Pakistan, and this is one of the leading culprit in accumulating, in aggravating the humanitarian disaster in Pakistan. It's just a couple of days back that this alert was issued that people are suffering, and this alert came from the common people. And both political parties, they were fighting with each other, holding rallies, and the government was more engaged in fixing the opposition leader in the courts, trying to arrest them, torturing the close aid of the opposition leader. So in that kind of situation, people obviously have suffered. And just recently, 2 days ago, they have launched an international appeal when they knew that this crisis is such a huge crisis. 3,000-kilometer long road that has damaged. The road networks have damaged. Many parts of the countries, they remain disconnected with each other. And the government came into action just a week ago, maybe 3 days, 4 days back. So I think the problem lies with certainly the dirty politics that Pakistan's politicians are playing at the cost of the common people, at the cost of the tragedies that we are now witnessing.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Javed. It's always a pleasure having you on NewsHour.
The growing tide of anti-Israel sentiments. What you see behind me is just tip of the iceberg of what is happening in the country. More than half of $52 billion black CIA budget is spent on espionage network in Pakistan. How would you handle it?
The US has looked upon Pakistan as an ally at one point and then as an enemy at the same time.
That is going to be the first legal reason on the basis of which he is going to be instantly ousted by the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Joining us live, Javed Rana, who's an expert on politics and geo-strategic issues.
In the world politics, which is not being driven by any moral principle, it is being driven by the hard geo-strategic realities. In a broader picture, more countries would aspire to have nuclear weapons.